To shatter the reality of a boy placated by a system out of control, it is necessary to trip him with a cane. This was the last day Jason Butane would be blind to the ground beneath his feet. A chip placed in his hand ensures he's always a part of society. He has a top 10 list, a location report, and health metrics. He is safe until the bus to high school arrives. He has been accepted to Instituto de Lumo Chi Ombro, a school he probably doesn't even have to look up. He only needs to carry his backpack and get on the bus as instructed by an embossed cardstock invitation delivered to him by a common drone. The morning was clear and sunny as Jason locked the door behind him and walked to the bus stop. When he arrived, he noticed Lisa getting off a public bus. She saw him and, noticing her, made her way over. "Hey, Jason, aren't you the strawberry milkshake guy?" she asked with a teasing smile. Jason felt his cheeks heat up. "Yeah, that's me. I just really like strawberry milkshakes." Lisa laughed. "I get it. So, what are you doing here? Are you going to school?" "Yeah, actually. I got invited to this new school, Instituto de Lumo Chi Ombro. Ever heard of it?" Jason asked, trying to sound casual. Lisa shook her head. "Nope, never heard of it. Sounds mysterious, though." She paused. "Why do you come to see me every day? Is it really just for the milkshakes?" Jason felt a wave of nervousness wash over him. Yeah, I mean the milkshakes are really good." Lisa smiled, sensing his awkwardness. She had wondered if Jason liked her, but hearing him talk about milkshakes was oddly charming. She decided to keep her thoughts to herself. "Well, good luck with your new school. It sounds exciting." "Thanks, Lisa. I hope it is. What about you? How's work going?" "It's the usual, you know. Busy, but I like it. Gives me a chance to talk to interesting people like you," Lisa said, giving him a playful nudge. That made Jason smile. "Yeah, I guess. It's nice to have someone to chat with." They talked until an approaching bus caught their attention. The old orange and white bus sputtered down the road, making a racket with its noisy engine. It definitely wasn't electric, and it looked like it had seen better days. Jason had no anxiety. How could he in such a safe world? He turned back to Lisa, wishing they had more time. "I guess that's my ride." Lisa nodded, giving him an encouraging smile. "Take care, Jason. And remember, just be yourself." The bus came to a stop, and the mechanical door creaked open. Lisa waved goodbye as she headed to work, leaving Jason to board the old bus. He took a deep breath and stepped aboard. The floor near the entrance was wet and sandy, a stark contrast to the clean, pristine city he was used to. The driver took Jason's invitation and fed it into a clockwork machine. He chose an empty seat near the middle, hoping not to stand out on his first day. The bus was eerily quiet, and there were no other children on board yet. Jason glanced toward the driver, but the man never looked directly at him. His face was hard to make out, as if in a dream. It wasn't swirling, but it was never quite recognizable. Jason settled into his seat, noticing the rattling windows and the loud bumps as the bus hit potholes. Each jarring bump made him grip the seat a little tighter. When it finally made a stop, a group of older students got on. They ignored Jason and headed straight to the back of the bus. Behind them was a boy named Sanjo. He looked around nervously, then picked the seat next to Jason. Sanjo had dark hair and glasses. He clutched a small backpack tightly. "Hey," Jason said, offering a friendly smile. "No seat belts on this thing, huh?" Sanjo shook his head. "Nope, and the windows aren't any safety glass I know of either. It's kinda weird." They chatted, discovering they had rival video game consoles at home. As the bus left Sanjo's hometown, he stared out the window, his expression growing wistful. "I'm gonna miss my mom," he said quietly. Sanjo stared out the window, his eyes distant. "I had a picnic with my mom at the park on the last day of summer," he said softly. "It was really nice, just the two of us. She made all my favorite foods, sandwiches, fruit salad, and homemade cookies. We sat under this huge oak tree and watched the ducks on the pond. It was really special." Jason thought it sounded a little too wholesome, but kept that to himself. It was clear that Sanjo was a mama's boy, but Jason found it endearing in a way. They continued talking as the bus rumbled along, Soon it was full of noisy students. Jason and Sanjo found themselves sitting closer together, with Jason by the window. As the day wore on, they grew hungry. The bus eventually stopped at a small cafe in the middle of nowhere. The bus driver opened the door, his face still hard to make out. With a calming voice, he instructed the children, "You have 20 minutes to get something to eat and stretch your legs." He looked out the opposite window, never directly at them. "Please use the restroom and be responsible," he added, still avoiding eye contact. Jason and Sanjo disembarked, stepping into the dry air. The cafe had an old, worn look with a big dull green sign that was only half lit up. The sound of a single crow echoed overhead, adding to the eerie atmosphere. "Man, I'm starving," Sanjo complained, clutching his stomach. "I hope they have something good to eat in there." "Yeah, me too," Jason replied, glancing around. The place had a strange, out-of-time feel, like it had been forgotten by the modern world. He couldn't help but notice every little detail, the old-fashioned gas pumps, the peeling paint, and the dusty windows. The place seemed like a relic from another era. They stood outside for a moment, taking in the surroundings before heading inside the old cafe. The inside was old leather stools and a counter had seen better days. At home, Jason preferred to eat in a self-driving car, but this had an inviting stasis. They noticed a kid wearing an apron mopping the floors. He couldn't have been much older than Sanjo and Jason. The students lined up to order, but a crudely drawn cardboard sign indicated a separate line for first years. Jason and Sanjo found themselves at the end of that line. As they reached the front, Jason and Sanjo noticed the first years were all getting the same meal, eggs and toast with a juice box. When it was their turn, they asked the server, a kind and patient woman, why they couldn't order anything else. "Excuse me, why do the first years all get the same meal?" Jason asked. The woman smiled kindly. "Because most of you don't have physical money yet," she explained. "It's just easier this way. But don't worry, the eggs and toast are quite good." Jason sighed and took their trays. As they sat down, he glanced longingly at the milkshake menu. "I really wanted a milkshake in a glass, not a disposable cup," he muttered. Sanjo nodded in agreement. "Yeah, it would have been nice." As they ate, Jason noticed the server walking by, busy but graceful. "Hey, can we get sodas instead of juice boxes?" he called out to her. She turned and shook her head politely. "I'm sorry, but first years stick with a set menu. Enjoy your meal." She smiled before continuing her tasks. "She's pretty when she's busy," Jason remarked, half to himself. Sanjo glanced over, but quickly looked away, not as interested. "Yeah, I guess," he said with a shrug. Jason sprinkled pepper on his toast, trying to make the meal feel a bit more grown-up. "Well, I guess this is okay. I like breakfast for dinner." Sanjo looked around and noticed the kid mopping the floor. "That guy must know where this place is," he said. "I have no internet access. It's kind of spooky." They called the mop kid over and introduced themselves. "Hi, I'm Jason and this is Sanjo. What's your name?" "Frank," the kid replied, not stopping his mopping. "Do you know where this place is?" Jason asked, his curiosity piqued. Frank shrugged. "It's a place between places, so it doesn't really matter where it is." Sanjo looked confused. "What do you mean, between places?" Frank continued mopping. "It's just that. Between places. First years shouldn't ask so many questions." Jason decided to try a different approach. "Who do you work for, Frank?" Frank glanced up briefly, his expression unreadable. "I work for the cafe." Jason frowned. "Yeah, but who owns the cafe?" Frank's answers were frustratingly vague. "It's owned by the people who need it." Sanjo, feeling a bit timid, hesitated to ask more questions, but he persisted. "Is there someone we could talk to for more information?" Frank shook his head. "Nope. You got all you need. Enjoy your meal." He stood there awkwardly, waiting for them to dismiss him. "Okay, thanks," Jason finally said, and Frank returned to his mopping without another word. They finished their meal, chatting a bit more. Once their time was up, they headed back to the bus. Jason felt regret as he glanced at the milkshake menu one last time. He was determined to get one the next chance he got. They boarded the bus and found their seats. It was dark outside, so Jason and Sanjo chatted quietly. "I thought we were going to some prestigious school," Jason said, frowning. "So far, it feels weird and maybe even a bit dangerous or fake." "Yeah," Sanjo agreed, glancing around. "There are students here who aren't first years. That's kind of reassuring, I guess. They don't seem confused like us, so it's probably safe." They were too shy to bother any of the older students. It wasn't long before Sanjo became homesick. "I'm gonna miss my mom," he said softly. "She uses really good fabric softener, so my blankets are always soft and warm." Jason smiled. "Sanjo, you're going to higher education. Talking about your mom doesn't make you sound more mature." Sanjo nodded, determined. "I know. I'm just really close to her. I will probably still mention home a lot." As they finished their conversation, strange lights appeared in front of the bus, parallel on either side like landing lights. They seemed to float, moving slightly slower than the bus. Everyone watched in awe as the campus lights came into view. It looked like a little town with bright white lights illuminating clean grass yards that were not perfectly flat but well maintained.
Baby, kiss me again.